Hi everybody and welcome to the latest in our graduate chats. I'm joined today by two graduates who are both working at Ricochet in Brighton. So I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and then we'll have a nice conversation about who they are, what they do and how they got there. So Sian, perhaps you could kick us off.
Hello, I'm Sian. I'm the producer for The Repair Shop.
Excellent stuff. And Hayley.
Hi, I'm Hayley and I am a production manager on The Repair Shop.
So Hayley, perhaps it would be good for us to understand what a production manager on The Repair Shop actually does.
Yes, so a production manager is responsible for all things logistics and the day-to-day running of the production. So things like organising the schedule for the production and the edits that happen after filming has taken place. Also overseeing the budget, so making sure that the right money is allocated to the right things. I also oversee all of the health and safety on location, so all the risk assessments and thinking about how we keep people safe, particularly actually, I should have asked you, do you want us to talk about pandemic things in this chat or not?
Yeah, it's fine. Yes.
Okay. So the production manager is also responsible for all of the health and safety, so making sure that all the risk assessments are thought through and up to date. Particularly in this time of COVID, there's been a lot of extra health and safety considerations which have become a big part of my job. And basically kind of overseeing all of the staffing and making sure that all of the different departments have what they need to make the programme.
And I should have asked you, Hayley, can you remember when you graduated, what year?
I graduated in 2012.
2012, 8 years ago, as we sit here today in November 2020, as you said, in the middle of our pandemic. Sian, you're the producer now of The Repair, or one of the producers, perhaps I should say, of The Repair Shop. What does that job entail and when did you graduate, first of all?
Right, I think I graduated 2014. I wasn't expecting Hayley to go as early. I thought I was a year after you, Hales, so I was kind of counting on that, but I'm going to say, yeah, 2014, 6 years ago. So for me, being a producer on The Repair Shop, firstly, it's honestly like the best job in the world. Sorry, Hales, but so I get to go and be at the barn at The Repair Shop every single day of the week. And it's actually a new role on the show, which I'm very fortunate to be the first person that they've done it for. So I effectively produce the stories. So I interview the contributors when they first arrive and drop their item off to us. And I interview them before and after they pick it up. I also get to produce the process. So when the experts are fixing things, I'm the one asking them random questions like, have you ever fixed a miniature lion's head before? Part of a little animal zoo set that we did. And yeah, so I just get to be super creative on a day-to-day basis, asking them questions. I also kind of oversee the schedule. So like when people can come back and collect their things when they're fixed. So part of my job is also kind of having a knowledge and an understanding about the different types of repairs that we do down at the repair shop. Feels like that's it, but I'm sure there's probably more to add in, but that's kind of it in a snapshot.
So when you're talking about sort of interviewing the people who bring their goods into repair, are you the person off camera that they're talking to when it appears that they're sort of thinking about what they're expecting and that kind of thing? So is it you're off camera but the camera's on them, is that right?
Yeah, as much as I've tried to do it to get on camera, they don't want me. It's not about me. So yeah, I'm their eye line, if you will. So I stand as close to the camera as I can. Obviously, as Hayley's mentioned about things with the pandemic, it's been slightly different. So we've had to try and be creative with 2 meter distancing. So I have to be 2 meters from the camera, which can obviously slightly affect your eye line, but where possible, we wear masks for like 15-minute intervals. So we've got big protocol in place for that. But yeah, so I'm their eye line. So I ask them a question and they have quite a big job in conveying my question within their answer and getting that back to me. So those interviews only end up being about 10 seconds long, but I'm learning to condense how long it takes me to film them. But yeah, so I'm the person that gets to ask their questions. So I have to be in the arrival, making all the notes about their story and kind of understanding what their emotional connection is to the item. Who does the story relate to? So is it a relative? Is it a friend? And then I have to tailor make my questions to suit their story. So it's not, I don't have like a blanket set of questions that I tend to always ask. I have to tailor make them to suit that specific person that's come in. And also that helps with them feel comfortable with me. And, you know, these stories are so emotional and the emotions are so raw that I always try to come across like a person and understand their feelings, as opposed to a producer on a TV program. You know, we want people to trust us with their story and their feelings. And I want to make people feel comfortable enough to open up to me and ultimately open up to the audience on the show.
Great stuff. So, Hayley, 2012, 8 long years. Give us an idea of your path from there to where you are now.
When I left university, I was very fortunate to get a job at Solent Productions. I'd done quite a lot of work experience for Solent Productions whilst I was a student and made kind of good connections there. So I sort of took over working on lots of the corporate productions that we did for clients such as the NHS, and also kind of running all of the work experience schemes for things like festival work experience, like Glastonbury, and basically became a production coordinator there. I was there for about 2.5 years, and I was involved in the launch of Solent TV at the time. And it equipped me with really good kind of coordinating skills on a small scale that when I moved into broadcast were really valuable, because I already had quite a good rounded knowledge about what I needed to do. So after that, I started working at Ricochet as a production coordinator, and did that for about 4 years, and then moved up to be a production manager about 2 years ago now. So that was my kind of career trajectory from Solent.
So you've basically, since you left Solent, you've worked at Ricochet.
Pretty much, yeah. I really like working at Ricochet. I'm very fortunate that I have a permanent staff job, which is quite rare in TV. I was a freelancer for a while, but have worked on lots of different productions at Ricochet and have got kind of good, well-rounded experience doing those. So yeah, I'm a Ricochet through and through.
Did you start at Ricochet as a freelancer and then became staff?
Yes, I did. So I was a freelance coordinator there for about 2.5, 3 years before I became staff. Yeah.
And just give us an idea of the other kinds of programs Ricochet do or that you've worked on with them.
So we do all kind of factual television shows for lots of different broadcasters. Some of the big ones are Food Unwrapped, which is on Channel 4, which has been running for many years. We also made a UK version of The Bachelor a couple of years ago, and lots of different things. I think Repair Shop is probably one of our bigger shows at the moment, but we do different kind of documentary shows and also sort of more light entertainment stuff. So it's quite varied.
And do you work across all those shows all at once, or are you attached to one show for the period of its run, as it were?
So you're normally assigned to a single production, but you do get moved around onto other things. So I've done a lot of Repair Shop. I've worked on it since the beginning. I was the coordinator on the first series, but in between doing series of the Repair Shop, because we don't film all year round. I mean, we film for very long periods at the moment. As the series has grown, the schedule has got longer and longer. But when it was a slightly smaller show, we would have breaks in the winter, and I might go off and do a series of Celebrity 5 Go Barging or a series of The Bachelor. So I'll go off and do something like that, and then come back to Repair Shop when it starts up again.
Great stuff. Sian, same question to you, really. So you graduated a little bit later than Hayley. So tell us about your path since leaving Solent.
So actually, my path started when I was at Solent, and I remember we were doing it was like around the time of doing our third year kind of dissertation, we did a live studio show. And then at the end, we had to write an essay to accompany the job that you did. So at the time, I was doing lighting. And as I was writing my dissertation, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great to have a quote from like a lighting director? So I found this guy, his name's Mark, and he was the lighting director for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Mastermind. So I reached out and just said, look, this is who I am. I just need a quote from you for my dissertation. Can you help me out? It's like 18 at the time, 18 or 19. And he basically actually gave me work experience on Mastermind up in Manchester. And I said to him at the time, I was like, why did you even offer me work experience? He said, well, you ran after my job. He was like, I get loads of people that email me saying I can do this, and this. And all you wanted was a quote. So I actually went up and did work experience for like maybe like a week, and I paid for it all. Like as a student, I remember going up there, paid for like a week's hotel, and just basically sat in this lighting room and just like watched everything happen. And actually from there, I got a few job offers to work up in Manchester. So I did a couple more after I graduated. I think I did like 1 or 2 shows. But then and actually there's, Stuart, you probably won't remember this because you have so many students, but I also got the chance to do some work experience at The Voice. And I remember it clashed with a pitch presentation that we had to do. And I remember telling you about it, and you let me just pitch it to you. And I remember at the time thinking, oh God, I've scored. I don't have to pitch in front of the whole class. I can just do it in front of Stuart. God, this is great. But yeah, so Solent at the time when I was doing work experience was so open to allowing those opportunities to happen. So I did those work experiences when I was supposed to be studying, but given what those opportunities were, Stuart and the uni were great and just, yeah, you can have the week off to go and do those, to have those experiences. And then once I graduated, I was super, super fortunate to get an interview at Ricochet. So very similar to Hayley in the time spent at Ricochet, I've been there since I've graduated. So I'm different to Hayley in that I have started as a freelancer. I'm still a freelancer, but Ricochet are a very loyal company. So they do treat us very, very well in that. So I think, yeah, for about 5 or 6 years, I've been working at Ricochet, and I've been on Repair Shop since 2017. So I didn't do the first series, but I've been on there since series 2. But yeah, like Hayley said, I've kind of bounced around from once Repair Shop's finished. I've then moved on to do some other shows. So I've done some work in London for different companies, but I always seem to find my way home, which is Repair Shop at Ricochet in one way, shape or the other.
We are in the middle of a pandemic right now, as we're speaking, second lockdown. How has that impacted on work on the Repair Shop over the last sort of 6-8 months? Hayley?
So I have been working from home, which is where I am now, since March, because my job is normally office-based. Everyone that could work from home has worked from home for the duration. So that's all of our kind of casting team, our production team, as well as all of our post-production. So all of our editors and edit producers have got little virtual suites set up at home. And the only people that have kind of been out at work are people like Sian and the shooting team that have been down at the barn. So that's kind of how my job has changed majorly. And we've had to adapt, our schedule and our filming protocols to allow for social distancing and lots of additional health and safety measures to kind of keep everybody safe. We've had to change the way we cast the programme. We've basically had to kind of overhaul everything to make it different. But it is working. And I think, one of the major things, positives that I think, if there are any that have come from this, is that lots of people are at home watching television. So the ratings for the Repair Shop have been better than ever. So I think, students can rest assured that the industry will survive this, because there will always be an appetite for entertainment. That's what people need in this dark time, and that means that we're always going to make new television.
Yeah, and of course, I think this is the first series that's gone to sort of prime time rather than daytime. What impact has that had? Have you seen budgets increase? Is there a noticeable difference around the team now that it's a prime time evening slot rather than a daytime slot?
So we do still make daytime programmes. So we're making 54 shows this series plus a Christmas special. So we do still make daytime programmes, but we have gone prime time now. I mean, the biggest difference for me has been kind of the reaction from the public and the press attention that we get. Whereas before, you know, we might get a write-up in the Radio Times. Now people want our experts to do interviews and, you know, appear on lots of big television shows to talk about the show. We've released a new book this year, so it really has kind of grown exponentially. But on the ground, I mean, it's still the same repair shop that we've always made. We actually don't know when we're filming what items are going to go into the peak shows. So we decide, you know, which stories are going to go into the prime time and the daytime shows after that they've been filmed, because we don't know, you know, how the contributor's going to react or how the fix is going to go and what is going to make that kind of prime time programme. So I don't think, I mean, Sian can probably elaborate on that, but I don't think, you know, filming day to day really changes whether you're making a daytime episode or a primetime show.
Go on, Sian, are you going to elaborate on that?
Yeah, couldn't said it better myself. I think, yeah, I speak for the crew and the experts when I say this, that the show's grown and we grow with it, but at the core of it, we're still that kind of little show on BBC Two that are just fixing things because we love to. We love making TV, and you know, the experts love fixing things. At the core of it, the nature of the programme is exactly the same, and that's the atmosphere on the repair shop. There's a few times, you know, a month where I turn to someone and say, can you believe we're making a BBC's primetime show? And I'm like, I'm not old enough for this. Surely not. Absolutely. I'm not experienced enough for this, but we are, and we make it and people love it. And I think when we're filming for such big blocks throughout the year, you know, it's the best job in the world and you're just getting on with your day to day. But actually, like Hayley said, it's not until you see the programme go out and you see the response it has for people that you kind of really take stock of, like, actually, this is having such a big impact on millions of people at home. Like at the time when you're filming, it's, you know, I'd say maximum 20 people on location, cast and crew. And then you're in the room witnessing a person being reunited with an item that means so much to them, and it feels super intimate. And then actually you get this kind of bigger picture of loads of people know about us and kind of people love the show for the reasons as to why we're making it. So when we're filming, we don't think primetime or daytime. We just are making the programme as best as we possibly can and just trying to keep that standard alive from the day we started and trying to keep to our roots and kind of keep grounded with it. But I wouldn't say it's not conscious, it's just how we are, I think, in some respects as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the ratings, and I think it's only Strictly, isn't it, and the occasional news bulletin that's pulling in more viewers than the repair shop at the moment on the BBC. So
I'll tell you what, this is really embarrassing, but I'm so proud of it that I'm going to have to show you. So on what Hayley was saying about us getting loads of press, Hayley, I'm sorry if I'm going to embarrass you, but this was probably one of the highlights of my career. Okay, I framed it. So Hayley, I know, I'm sorry. This is the repair shop featuring in the Prima magazine. I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it.
I'm in it, and this entire quote is me. So how mad is that? I'm in it. I'm in a magazine. I've actually made it. So Prima magazine came down to the repair shop to have like a tour and to like meet the experts. So little old me I was like, oh, I'll be their chaperone, no problem. Just kind of like making sure they like spoke to each expert, took a photo, move on. Because I can't stop talking, I was just, you know, talking about everything and everything. And then all of a sudden the journalist goes, so how do you spell your name? And I was like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And then this happens. So amazing things are happening for the repair shop, and I am slowly eking my way in front of the camera. Anyway, there we go.
Jade Blades, our presenter, calls Sian Google because she knows everything. So that's your claim to fame, isn't it?
Yeah, that is so true. It's my claim to fame. But he says it in front of a lot of people. And I've definitely had it before where we've just finished an arrival. And I remember this contrib goes, do you mind if I keep this plinth? So we like, when we reveal an item, which is a part of like one of my jobs, there's a lot of ironing and a lot of like presentation to make it look good for the camera. So this contributor wanted this plinth to display her item on. And Jay turns and just says, Google, can she keep it? And this woman goes, is your name really Google? And I was like, you met me outside. You know my name's Sian. It's not Google. And I was like, I'm mortified. Then you have to explain it to people. And then people just think you're being super big-headed. So I kind of tried to let other people explain that one for me. But yeah, Google is the nickname.
Excellent stuff. Sian, you mentioned, and I remember you being in the lighting gallery and struggling to kind of prize you away from the lighting gallery. That seemed to be the thing you wanted to do. So I suppose, what did you do at Solent that has led you to here, do you think? And particularly bearing in mind that lighting did seem to be your particular interest for a while, at least.
Oh, what a question.
Yeah.
I think, how do I answer that? Yeah, because lighting was a random one for me to choose, considering I do nothing with it at the moment. I think being a part of Solent, and especially being a part of the TV production course, you were kind of not forced, but you were in this massive group, and I think there was like 30 of us, that you just had to get, you had to make a program work, you know, whether you're at uni or not. And this applies to kind of being in my career now, that I think I learned to push myself out of my comfort zone. So I think I stayed doing lighting for a while because I got to grips with it and I understood what went into it. And I do remember that I slowly tried to branch out and do camera stuff. And I think that took a while for me to do that because, you know, you're young, you're at uni, there's loads of people, and it's like, you know, who's got the loudest voice? Well, now I've definitely got the confidence to say that one of my voice is definitely one of the loudest. But I think that came from being at uni in general, and you have to find your voice amongst your class, and you find the confidence to kind of speak up and present your ideas. And even now, my job is I talk all the time, and it's always about being comfortable enough to present your ideas to your peers and to your bosses, and actually stand by your opinion and what you're saying. And a lot of people want to hear your opinion. But yeah, so I think being at uni, it took me a while to come out of my comfort zone, which I think is why I stayed doing something up in lighting, because there was only like me and one sound person up there, I think. So it was quite, I was quite content, but I kind of knew what I was doing and felt like I was flourishing in that field. But I did end up trying to push myself out and do different things and learn different things, and just thought, what other time do you have the opportunity to be young, to be creative and make whatever you want at no real cost to you? I know the student fees are quite high, but do you know what I mean? Like and Solent has so much like technology that not other unis have. Like there were so many studios and these cameras that, and you know, the fact that there was a lighting desk for you to even learn on. I think there was a time where I thought, don't waste it, you know, branch out, learn more, and kind of embrace what the university was offering to me at the time.
And from your point of view, Hayley, I mean, I sort of remember you as a producer, director, writer, I think, perhaps mainly from your major project. I remember that. But can you sort of put your finger on things you did at Solent or learnt at Solent that have sort of helped you get to where you are now?
Definitely. So when I was at uni, I did a lot of writing and directing, which is very different from the job that I do now. One of the things I think that has been really valuable, though, is that the course, because it was so practical, I had really hands-on experience filming with cameras, also with editing. Again, two things that I don't do in my day-to-day job at the moment, but it gives me a really good understanding of what other people's jobs are on my team. And being a production manager, I do need to make sure that we've got the right people in the right roles, and also that they have everything they need to do their job. So it's really valuable that I can understand a bit what their job entails, so I can support them better. I think the reason I kind of decided to go in the direction that I did was because I found when I was kind of doing work at uni and outside of uni that I'm kind of naturally organised, and I like kind of being involved in kind of all aspects of a project, which being production manager does allow me to do. But yeah, I think, you know, really valuable all-round experience that I got at Solent was instrumental in allowing me to choose what I wanted to do later. I never felt like I was limited after I left uni. I never felt like, oh no, I couldn't be a camera assistant or I couldn't go and do post-production. I felt like I had a really good kind of basic level of all of those skills, so I could kind of choose whatever I wanted to do.
Can you remember why you wanted to go to Solent in the first place?
Yes, I can instantly remember. Glastonbury work experience was the big pull for me. I remember coming to the open day and you showing us the show reel of what the students had made at Glastonbury, and I thought that's absolutely stand out compared to the other unis that I was seeing, and the quality of the equipment and the studios were the big pulls for me, because really uni is a wonderful time, like Sian was saying, to kind of express yourself and be creative. But what employers are looking for when you graduate is what work experience you have. And Solent had that built into the course. It was a prerequisite that you had to do work experience, whether that was work experience you went out and found yourself, like Sian, and having that support from the university to be able to go and take those placements, or whether you did kind of more what I did, which was work with Solent Productions and go off and do festivals. Like by the time everybody graduates from that course, they've already done professional work, which is, you know, is so important in our industry.
What about you, Sian? Can you remember why you?
I think, yes, very, very, very similar to Hayley in that. I think it was the equipment that Solent had was just not compared to any other. And I knew I wanted to stay based down south because I'm from Brighton, so I knew I wanted somewhere close to home. But kind of the other universities around that kind of area just weren't offering quite the same stuff that Solent was. And I think also, again, with what Hayley was saying, there was so many strings to kind of the course itself. So, you know, it was like script writing, editing, being in a studio, but then also for our final project, I think we went out and actually just made like a miniature film. So there were so many opportunities that, again, really just have to echo what Hayley said, in that I just left feeling like I could go and do whatever I wanted. And I was equipped with the basic knowledge of everything to feel like, yeah, I think I can do that. That's fine. Like nothing felt like it was off limits. And I just remember, I think, going for that interview, I remember speaking to someone about the person who was interviewing me was just like about a book, and they were really interested that I was into this book or whatever. But I just remember feeling like it was the right place for me and for my personality at the time. And then I think just the biggest thing that I walked away, not only with a degree, was actually just a ton of confidence. And I think being in TV is about being confident. You don't have to have the biggest voice in a room or the biggest flamboyant personality, but you do have to be confident in people being, you know, and I guess approachable as well. But yeah, confidence is a big, big thing. And I think I owe a lot of my confidence, if not all of it, to studying at uni and being in the environment that Solent gave us, which is such, you know, big group dynamics. And so I think, yeah, it was just kind of, it's the all-round package.
Very good. Do you have any one particular memory that stands out, Sian?
I think the best memory I have is actually the final dissertation miniature film that we made, which was like 6 of us got together, made a small film, and I think that's when I saw what the other side of not being stuck in a lighting gallery could give you, which was much like Hayley. The reason why we get on so well is I think we're super, super organised, and we like to know what's going on with every single person in every part of what we're making. And I was kind of like the producer, like production coordinator type thing of just like organising the logistics. And I remember when we were filming our small film, we actually rented like an Airbnb house. And I remember thinking, this guy's never going to let us like film in his house. Like there was 6 of us, and then there was like 2 or 3 actors that we legitimately paid to come down. And I remember we were filming this like scene that he'd found something in the fridge and he threw himself back against the cupboard, but he was such a method actor that he actually broke the cupboard. And I thought, there goes the deposit. But we do it for our craft, don't we? Yes, that's one of my standout memories from uni, I think.
What about you, Hayley? Anything stand out for you?
I think the one thing that really sticks out for me would be filming Blondie at Camp Festival. That was like an all-time, even now, career high. It was a closed set, so the professional TV company that were there covering the festival weren't allowed to film. It was just Solent that were allowed to film for the iMac, for the big screens. And I just remember thinking it was the best thing in the world. It was so exciting. It felt so professional. And yeah, I mean, even still, that's probably one of my career highlights. The other one would probably have to be going to the RTS Awards with my final major project. That was very exciting, and have been back since with Ricochet for the repair shop. But going as a student just felt like the most fancy, exciting thing ever. That was that was really stand out, and I feel very grateful to have been able to have those opportunities while I was still studying. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and you're too polite to say it, but you won, didn't you? The RTS award.
We did win, and it's actually on my mantelpiece at the moment.
Brilliant.
So
I wonder where it was.
up in my house. Yeah.
Excellent. We are about to run out of time, so I just thought I'd ask one more quick question, just about advice. What advice would you give to anybody about to start a university degree or thinking of coming to Solent to do TV, or who wants to work in TV? Are there 1 or 2 little words of advice you can give? Who would like to go first?
I think Hayley would agree with this one, but I think one of my biggest pieces of advice would be learn to drive. It's such a fundamental thing in TV. And actually, my dad phoned me before we did this call, and he was like, tell them to learn to drive, because no one told me. And it took, Hayley knows this, but we were working on a show together. And I was so lucky that they got around me not driving, but I was told, learn to drive. You know, it's such an asset that you just don't really think about. But like being a runner and starting out in TV, that's always the first place, you know, you start out in. Being a runner just adds that extra element to the desirability of you, of being this full package of kind of, you know, approachable person, being confident, being a go-getter. That's all great, but actually you also need to be a go-getter that can go and get stuff and kind of get stuff done, and be that kind of, a runner ends up being kind of that really kind of integral part of the team to get people the stuff they need when they need it. And actually being able to nip out in a car literally is like one of the biggest parts of a production that you could think of. And actually being a part of repair shop during a pandemic, we all actually had to drive our own cars because we couldn't be in the same car as each other. So, you know, I was able to be on location because I could drive to be able to do the job I love. So I would just really, really recommend pass your test, learn to drive.
Great stuff. Hayley?
I would say if you're just starting the TV production course at Solent, make the most of it. You've got 3 years to absolutely make anything you want to creatively. Make friends with the technicians, the people that rent you the kit. Make sure you have a go on all the cameras, that you try every job in the studio, that you get to grips with editing, so that when you graduate, you've got a really good basis for deciding what you're going to do next, and make friends with people on your course. I don't know how many times I've called people that were in my cohort to say, oh, I'm looking for a camera op for this, or I need a producer for this. It's a really good opportunity to network and make friends with people that are going to be your colleagues in the future. So just make the most of it.
That is brilliant. Thank you both so much.
You're welcome.
At the end of
Thanks
our
for having
time. So to Sian and to Hayley, thank you both for your time. Good luck with future series of the Repair Shop and everything else you work on. And I hope you join us next time for another alumni chat. See you soon.